fucking laugh they do when they look at each other is hilarious.
That's so good. I love it.
He has such a crazy laugh. Tom Cruise has a crazy laugh, dude.
So Kenzie and I, when we were driving down to St. Louis, you ever listen to that Scientology stuff?
Mm-hmm. He's like one of the big.
He is. He's the big dog there.
Yeah.
Did you know that? So you have like your followers, okay?
Okay.
And you get I'm gonna butcher it of like terminology, but you get to these different tiers, and Tom Cruise is at like the top of the top, where you have unleashed information.
Okay.
And you have like your almost clan behind you.
So there's clan.
And then John,
like a big flow chart.
John Travolta's in it too. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Okay.
So if you're at like a certain tier and you
So there's more tiers.
Yeah. So if
It's like an org chart.
If you commit a crime,
which sort of looks like a pyramid.
And if you commit a crime at a certain tier and your clan sees it, they would clean it up and they wouldn't tell anyone. So like you could kill somebody and they wouldn't be able to say a word.
Much like a mafia, possibly. Not that Scientology is
but
organized
but it's like
crime.
Organized crime, yeah.
And you listen to so it's on a Joe Rogan podcast. You listen to how she talks, and from the outside, you're like, that's so crazy. But the way she talks is they're so brainwashed. It started when they're kids, and their parents bring them in, and then disconnect their relationship with them because you have to disconnect your relationship at a certain tier with all outside family. It's a crazy
don't they think
stuff.
like that we came from like space or something like that?
Get
like,
closer to the mic.
Oh, I didn't know we were recording.
We're not recording, but
like, didn't they think that we came from like space? Like somehow we
the crazy
came from fucking a different universe and we're planted here on this planet. For real.
Funniest thing is the founder or the god, I guess, that everybody's going towards was like died 70 years ago or something like that.
Okay.
So it's relatively new, and everybody praises this guy. He wrote the most fiction books out of anybody ever.
I've heard that. Yeah.
So
it's kind of
isn't that kind of
He just got like a cult following that just
totally. And then all of a sudden one day he had a religious
So you know what I think
and wrote a book about it.
He wrote a religious book that was just
He's
fictional.
Like, oh fuck, these people are buying it.
Exactly. People started buying it.
Wait,
and he's like, damn, I'm gonna I'll be the god in this, and I'm gonna start selling this.
I don't usually watch South Park, but there's a really funny episode
South Park's so good.
on Mormonism, and they have like a song that goes through it the whole time. And like the chorus or whatever is they just go like dum 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 dum. It's fucking savage. It's
We're gonna piss off a lot of religions here.
Yeah, that's okay.
Those Scientologists, they got a lot of fucking money though. Like they're like their own.
So you pay
entity.
You pay to get in.
Yeah, and you have to like pay like dues
yearly.
And stuff, don't you? Yeah.
And
like
it's not just
like a percentage of your annual salary or something has to be
like regular old tithing.
No, it's like people are putting in millions. This girl that was on there, she was an actor.
They have like multiple private jets and locations all over the world, and like this huge network.
To the highest tier of God.
Yeah.
But you should listen to that podcast. It's super long, but you should listen to it on Joe Rogan. You'll listen to it and think, how crazy is this? But it's real and it's still going on. Like, how do people believe this?
I don't know. I wonder why people believe some of the shit they do. I wonder why people watch the news every day and they fucking believe it.
You told me you watch the
news.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, to see what lies they're trying to sell us today.
See, there's this excuse. Yeah, screw all these people watching the news, but I watch it too.
I just got.
I don't buy into any of it. I fucking question everything. Why are they reporting on this?
Why is my name Dylan?
Who's gonna benefit the most off of this? Yeah. What's their potential agenda behind this?
If we want to talk about whys, I'm going to leave you guys with this one. It's actually not a why, it's a how. Kenzie and I went on a tangent this weekend on this.
Okay.
How did the Egyptians build those pyramids?
Easy.
We've had a discussion like this before. Slaves.
No. How?
Slaves.
Aliens.
I get that.
Where did they get these huge fucking blocks of concrete or stone
they
from?
Found the location at which they pulled them from the ground.
How did they cut them so perfectly square?
Slaves.
How did they get them up to the top?
Slaves.
No, dude, if you actually did research on it.
How did they design the inner workings of it? Like all these tunnels and rooms and everything that are inside the...
slaves were probably not smart enough for that part. But
not only that, even if it was slave labor, it would take decades to build this. like they were that fucking committed that this is
Yeah.
gonna take 80 years to build, but we're just gonna
Yeah.
Not only
and
that-
probably 100,000 people are gonna fucking die building this in the middle of a fucking desert.
Not only
I
that,
don't
with no
buy
shade.
it.
With no shade, it's 100. You know? Not only that, so they measure it now,
Okay.
and they measure like how, if it's on like a perfect angle, it is dead straight. And
Aliens.
Okay, here's okay.
and
I
one
have
last thing, one
I have
last
a
thing.
fucking theory about this, but you talk first. And
real quick, another thing is it's perfectly matched with each angle goes in the direction north, south, east, west.
So
Okay?
how do they know that?
Exactly. Within a fraction of a degree, they say. Every single one.
Do you have something you want to contribute to this?
yeah, sometimes you get fucking lucky.
Not that often, especially with a huge
20
building.
times?
Well, so in the course of 2,000 in the course of 2,000 years, you don't think there's any chance that the Earth has rotated just enough to align it?
No, our climate would be all fucked up. Oh shit!
No. Okay,
Oh, I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna
yeah,
say
yeah, yeah.
ice ages.
Somebody who's watching the news already thinks it is.
All right, another thing is where they were getting some of these rocks were like 40 to 100 miles away that had to be on a boat down a river.
And they didn't
So
have
how'd they build-
any. They didn't have any power source at the time.
No power source. So how they build a
besides
boat?
manual
Didn't have
labor
a,
and horses.
a sawzall to cut it.
How they build even the boat? How they build a boat that could hold 100,000 pounds?
I don't think you're giving enough credit to people.
Right, but look at how many they built. This wasn't just one.
I
This
mean,
was
granted,
like
they built them in a span of like thousands of years.
Okay,
it wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
yes,
No, what-
it was.
one didn't take 1,000 years.
Yes.
No, it didn't. They talk about it on
Okay,
there.
number one took 1,000 years, and then they're like, "Fuck, we did this all wrong." Like,
No, it didn't.
so they went and fixed it.
No, the main pyramid didn't take 1,000 years. That's where you're wrong.
Okay, a couple hundred. After the first one, all I'm saying is after the first one, you're like, "Oh shit, we should have just used more slaves." Like, more people pushing the rock,
20,
right?
20 years only. That's not that long.
I don't believe that.
20 years, 100,000 men. But
Don't believe it.
okay, not only that, when you go on the inside, you have these massive granite blocks that are
Okay.
cut perfectly to where you can't even fit a credit
So
card in there. Real
how,
quick.
How are they cutting granite?
Exactly. So that's what they talk about is how you cutting granite.
They didn't have dynamite.
No.
Couldn't
And they're
blast it out.
perfectly square.
They
To
could
where
have
you
made a
can't even
sandblaster.
squeeze
There's
it.
plenty of that over there.
So what they say is they had like a saw that had some type of material, but then they're like, that material can't cut granite. So what they're saying that they did is they toss salt in there sand while they're cutting, and the little crystals help cut it. I'm like, you know how long that would take to cut a square?
So how many employees do we have here?
I don't know, 35?
Do we get a lot done in the course of a week?
Yeah, we're not cutting
They're not
granite.
building fucking pyramids.
Okay.
We kind of are.
But here's my
Building
point.
one
is
big
we have-
one.
We have 30 employees here, okay? You don't have to market the pyramids, right? So you cut
You know what
cut
we
out
should
the
do?
marketing
Let's
department.
get a block of granite for Sam to cut and see how
I'll
long it
fucking do
takes
it.
Look at the intensity there.
Yeah, dude.
All I want to
Hey,
prove.
these pyramids are massive.
Yeah, they're like tall or whatever.
No, massive. I'm just saying, it's
And
crazy.
they have fucking tunnels and rooms and all sorts of hallways and.
Once you got it built, you just dig it out.
So I mean, they're tombs, right? Isn't that the whole
yeah,
deal?
that's,
behind
that's
this
what
thing?
they
They're
say.
tombs.
But,
So
but
like,
there's no bodies found in them.
well, there must be in there somewhere.
Well, right. Well, what,
There's
you know?
bodies found around them from all the people that died trying to make them.
But my biggest question is, okay, you have the Bible that's, don't quote me, like 2,500 years old or whatever.
Okay.
And it's specific to every event that happened. But you're telling me this was a little earlier. You're telling me that nobody wrote down how they built
No, they
it.
did. You just can't read it because it was in hieroglyphs.
People can read hieroglyphics. Sam,
Okay. Can you?
I said people can.
People.
This
But
pe-
okay, so you're telling me
Those
nobody
people can't.
nobody wrote down, hey, this is step 1, step 2, step 3.
That's what I mean. There had to be designs and plans somewhere.
Right. And they're just nowhere. Just weird. Just think about it, you know.
all I'm saying is we get a lot done here in a week. If you had 100,000 people who didn't need lunch and you could work them 18 hours a day, I'm just saying you could get a lot more
The
done.
110 degree fucking sun.
They'd be,
in the middle of a
they'd be
desert.
dying in a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez, I would hate to be your slave.
No shit.
Damn, I'd be working like a dog.
Yeah.
Pharaoh fucking Sam over here.
If everyone's praising you like you're a god or something, like it's probably gonna go to your head, and you're like,
Fucking am a god.
like just fuck your 401k, get back to work. Like you want retirement, you
if
can
you-
retire when you're laying on
Retirement
the
is death.
Yeah,
Enjoy it.
yeah. You'll be helping build a better afterlife for me.
I'm just saying, if you know, we were building a pyramid and wanted to build more in the future, I would at least have like a script of like, hey, this is how I think, this is how we did the first one. You know, go build this one. Where'd that go?
I mean, the first
Didn't he put it on email or something?
these gods that came from the sky in their little spaceships helped us build the first one, so they'll help us build the
mean-
next ones too.
I don't know. I think there's.
Which are the gods that come from the sky,
Yeah.
which should make sense why they're aliens,
Yeah.
right?
Jake, you should talk about this with Jacob. Jacob's got so what he's like. I brought it up to him. He's like, "Oh, dude, wrong guy to bring this up to."
So I can see Jacob
You
doing
can
that.
just tell he's got like 100 different ideas of how they did it. He says that they had. He says life. I don't know how he explained it, but he said they could move stuff with sound waves.
Sorry, I had something stuck in my throat.
like, damn it.
But yeah, it's a tangent.
You just lay down trees, push the block over the trees. Trees roll.
They didn't know of wheels back then.
Sam, where the fuck are there trees in the desert?
Good idea. Good point.
Dude, they got. Oh yes, good one, Dylan. Are you kidding? You can find trees from fucking anywhere.
But why did they just make the wheel would have been invented way earlier then?
Are you kidding me right now?
Just saying.
All right. You know what? You're a slave.
So they said they leveled it out by building out a water tunnel around the entire thing, and that water would determine how level it is.
I mean, that's a great idea.
That's what I'm like. That's not a bad idea.
mean,
Yeah,
but
They had it's just a really big bubble level.
right. But my thing is, why wouldn't you write that down somewhere?
They did. Obviously, somebody found out about it.
So no, he's guessing on that.
Oh.
I watched
Okay, so how many men would you think it takes to get one of those bricks from its destination to its final location?
a lot,
How many?
dude. To pick
How
up
big is it?
100,000,
The size of this room?
probably around the size of this room.
Okay.
100,000 pounds.
Okay.
Each person can pick up 100 pounds. Say, because these guys are
No,
frail, dude.
they got wheels.
These guys got
Egyptians aren't dumb. They got wheels, right?
no, they don't. Wheels wasn't invented back then.
When was the wheel invented?
I don't know.
Before that,
Just the other.
That was
after that.
So, but what I'm saying is, if you were able to collect trees, you could lay down trees on a flat surface and push an object, which then would roll the trees.
I didn't know Dylan invented it.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool if you invented the wheel.
It was
like
fourth
history book
millennium, 2000 BC.
Okay,
So
so the
right-
pyramids, about the same time, right? Is there a crazy fact like the Egyptians are closer to the dinosaurs
No.
than we are to the Egyptians?
500
That's not true at all.
Isn't there something like that?
Not even remotely close.
Yeah, I mean, we're
No, it
we're
would
all
be
prestigious historians
it's,
here, so
It's Caesar. Caesar is closer to us, or Caesar is right in the middle of us. Like the time of ancient Rome is like smack dab in the middle between
all I know is
when
when
the
I went to
pyramids
the
were created and modern society.
500 years after. These were built 500 years before the wheel was invented. 500 years. 100. That's a lot of years.
How
I'm
many
just saying-
camels can you get to pull? I'm just saying, I don't think it would take, like, how many people could push a block this big, the size of this room?
A lot, Sam. 100,000 pounds. Each person can. Let's just say each person can pick up or push 100 pounds.
we should probably get going on this podcast.
I can push, this is the podcast.
Or this is the podcast now?
Yeah.
1,000. You need 1,000 people.
I can push more than 100 pounds.
You can, but what about a frail little guy that hasn't eaten in?
I think we had an entire discussion about this,
So-
but, like,
There-
there had to be logistics surrounding the pyramids, right? Like, people maybe not selling food, but distributing food, right?
Well, so that's what they talk about there too. Is they said, I don't know how they figure this out. They're like, they determined that the slaves were eating really good, like meats and breads and stuff like that. I'm like, how do you figure that out? But you don't figure out how to make a pyramid through
I mean,
bone?
it makes sense. They had to have the nutrition and the strength to work, right? So,
Right. But
so, dude, this is a fun fact that blows my mind every time I look at it. I took a picture of it when I went to the Smithsonian Museum a few years back.
big brain.
big brain.
If you compress the history of the known universe into a single calendar year, so January 1st would mark the Big Bang, which is kind of the beginning of history as we know it, we think.
Compress it until.
So the Earth would form around September 14th.
Okay.
So obviously millions and millions and millions of years before the Earth was even formed. If the Big Bang was January 1st, the Earth wasn't formed until September 14th. Okay. Dinosaurs would not appear until December 24th.
Let's fucking go. That's exciting.
That's crazy. December
On Christmas,
24th and become extinct about 4 days later. So from the 24th to the 28th
Damn.
is the lifespan of dinosaurs, which has been longer than obviously our existence on this planet. People would not show up until less than 2 hours before midnight on December 31st. People, our whole existence of Homo sapiens being on this
On
planet.
Earth, yeah. And modern society
Literally
is like less
only
than that.
out in a year's span of our of the universe's known existence, we only get fucking less than 2 hours.
That is crazy.
That's pretty crazy.
The last 5 centuries of history would take place during the last second of December 31st.
Damn.
That shit just blows my mind because it really just shows how fucking insignificant we really are.
Oh,
Yeah.
big time. Yeah.
You know, we're just fucking animals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is some deep shit, but like, nothing we do now or have ever done fucking matters. You know what I mean?
Which
like,
I think, when put in perspective of the universe, is true, but when put in perspective of a lifespan, I don't think is true at all.
yeah, but what is it? It's just something that we've created. It doesn't, in the big grand scheme of things, in the universe and the planet Earth itself, nothing we do fucking matters at all. You know,
That's one way to look at it, but you can
I
say
mean,
That's
it's
a negative.
no, it's not to be negative at all, but it's just
Henry
like,
Ford invented the car.
yeah, it only matters.
All right, guys.
It only matters to
I'm
humans.
done. This doesn't matter.
It only
I'm
matters.
not paying my bills. I'm not
Right.
waking up or getting out of bed.
Everything we've have ever created,
Yeah.
only matters to humans. That's it.
See, and
you know what I mean? The rest of the fucking Earth, the weather, the fucking planet itself, the rest of the fucking universe doesn't give a fucking lickety slick of shit.
Unless you build
Yeah.
a pyramid.
All it takes is a little fucking solar flare from the sun to go, and
Yeah, we're
It's
cooked.
fucking over. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and the rest of the universe still fucking goes on.
Hey, welcome to the podcast, Alex. This is a non-traditional podcast.
We got off on
Alex,
a tangent on this
Alex,
one.
you're on the podcast.
Are you really picking up in the middle of the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex, who built the pyramids?
The Romans, right?
Thank you, Alex.
Philosopher Alex.
You're welcome. If you have anything else, just phone me. Talk to you guys later.
All right, love you, Al.
The Romans.
I love that guy. I can't wait to hang out with him in Orlando.
Oh, that's
All
funny
right.
shit.
Let's talk about Orlando. What are you doing there?
We are first trade show for Viper
Building
Energy.
pyramids.
I got to get back to my pyramid.
Yeah.
First trade show for Viper Energy. It's called USA Fit Games.
Okay.
I guess it's just a big. Do they have sumo wrestling here?
Did you sign up?
No, I get eaten. They have CrossFit. Like, you ever see those people that lift up those big freaking
Yeah, the stones.
500-pound
the
balls?
Balls
Yeah,
of
the
concrete.
heavy.
What if they just had 1,000 of those guys pushing blocks for the pyramid?
Dude, done. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Those massive dudes.
Just huge.
But yeah, first trade show for Viper Energy is just a 1 day, and I'm pumped for the setup. Think of that. How easy is that going to be versus what we're used to? You know,
Mhm.
we used to have to we still will, but 5 chairs. You got to set up the entire booth which isn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
Lay down the
Flooring.
and where this is just roll in the cooler, set up a table.
It should be nice and easy.
Yeah,
in
so I'm
comparison.
pretty pumped about that. But yeah, I'm just excited to see outside reactions of people that we have no idea who they are and see what they think. You know,
The feedback's been fucking amazing, though. Literally everybody I've given it to has loved it.
yeah.
Like, and I tell them to be brutally honest. Like, I
Right.
want your, genuine opinion. What do you think of it? So that we know if we're selling a fucking shit product or not. And they all fucking love it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But what's also going to be cool too is for them, they're probably going to be walking around, so they're going to try other people's energy drinks, and then they come to us and they'll know because they just had everybody else's.
Instant
to see what
comparison.
Ours, exactly how ours compares to it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. First one.
Everyone there is going to be like wired out of their minds.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Free
But,
samples everywhere.
I'm excited to see what it does, and if it's good, then let's do more of these.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think regardless.
So should be pretty fun. But yeah, so
So what day is that from until?
it's just a 1-day event.
Oh,
Just
nice.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Should be pretty cool.
And that's Chris, yourself, and Alex?
Alex and then Mac's gonna come too. We need a girl there.
Okay. Nice.
So-
Yeah, cool. She gonna try
Otherwise-
she gonna sell?
Otherwise, Alex was gonna have to wear the the crop top.
again. We never got any interest.
Shall
Never get
Alex.
any interest when Alex wears the crop top.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's the weirdest
People seem
thing.
to stray away from the booth, yeah.
Everybody just takes pictures.
Yeah, it's just weird.
All
Actually,
right.
in 2023, it's probably like normal. But
Yeah, no kidding. Right. You actually probably get a ton of interest now. A bunch of
Yeah.
freaking weird-ass people would be coming up to you.
But picking up off the last one. So we're just talking about what were we talking about?
Facility. I mean, primarily facility.
Why's mine loose? Sam wants to put it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about old facility or getting into the new facility, closing up big October, getting the Walker order, getting the Air Force order.
Set us up for a banger Black Friday and a great end of the year.
Yep.
And then went into 2022, which was just pure growth mode. Like, just foot on the gas, hiring people,
Yeah.
getting, launching
talk about hiring.
new products. I think hiring could probably almost be like its whole
Yeah.
podcast almost by itself, like, or its whole own episode.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, 2022 is. Let's just say we went to school.
Yeah,
It was
we made
tuition.
a lot of tuition payments.
A lot of payments.
So I think in 2022 we had 8 people going into 2022,
Okay.
which is pretty good, right? Actually, probably less than that.
So let's break down who we had too. So we had probably 3 out in the shop, on the warehouse, 3 or 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that include you and I?
Well, I mean, we were still going out. I mean, to give people clarity, like Dane and I were still going out in the shop every single night to help box orders in the afternoon. Like in the morning, we would do emails and do our business stuff and do what needed to be done on kind of like the management administration side of it. And then afternoons was like all hammer time. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it was still so much fun. Like
It was.
I remember getting on that stereo. You know, give me
Dude.
that aux cord. Let's go.
When you get a
Yeah.
good tape job too, it's just straight down the line.
Smooth.
Let's go.
But I want to say probably
So we
there
had
was two. We had two welders, right? Drake and Levi, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
And then we had
Jacob and Duddy.
Jacob and Duddy, and then Duddy ended up leaving for some time. So then it was just Jacob for a long time. And
Yeah.
Oh yeah, big time. I remember
felt
that.
terrible
was-
for a dude.
yeah.
He crushed it
So-
though. Like
He did. He crushed
You
it.
two, and then
we had a couple people up front
customer
here in the
service rep.
office.
Yeah, we had Anna in the office. She was like accounting, HR,
Well, I was
accounting,
and
like,
customer service.
Customer service.
Weird mix, right? But like
Yeah.
small business, you wear a lot of hats. Like
Yeah.
We didn't know
kinda
what
have
we
to
were
do-
doing.
No, we had no idea what we were doing. And
I think she was the only one that applied too, so I think that's why we hired her.
Yeah.
And then, dude, she was the only one up here in the office for a long time. We
She was?
had all these offices up front of this building, and
It's weird when
nobody in them.
Yeah,
Like,
when I think about it, I actually think like what offices were filled. Like
Yeah, even when you came, there was very
Yeah.
there wasn't many.
No, gosh,
Wasn't
no.
many at all.
Not compared to now.
But yeah, so we had, say 8, right?
It was about 8 people, if I remember correctly.
8 people coming into 2022, and it was a good Black Friday. I do remember that. Dude, that's crazy. So with just Jacob out in the warehouse and you and I going in after hours, we still crushed.
Duddy was there for Black Friday, too.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
So us 4, but you and I were pretty much, let's just say, part-time for boxing.
We had Joe came on somewhere in between there as well. I remember
He came on after I.
Yeah, that was 2022 sometime.
Yeah.
But
'Cause I was in
regardless,
March,
we
but-
had only 2 people boxing up Black Friday orders, and they still got out
Yeah.
in time. That's pretty crazy. And then,
Well, I mean, we were coming on weekends and shit, too. Like,
Yeah.
it was pretty much an everyday type thing.
So when you guys brought somebody on, was it hard to totally hand off the responsibilities that they had, or that they were assuming by taking that position?
well, Jacob helped a ton because he built our trust right away.
Yeah.
For boxing up, because he did it better. Like he held almost higher standards than we did, and he was quick, dude. Like he's somebody where he steps back and he looks at it. He maps everything out of how he wants to do it. He's so particular in how he does it too, of how many pallets he's gonna have
Yeah.
and what he has left over. And if you put something on that pallet, he pisses him off because he's like,
Yeah.
Throws the count
get it
off.
off there. You're
Yeah.
throwing my count off. So having him out on the warehouse was, dude, just awesome. The dude helped a ton.
Yeah. So how about in like other aspects though, for like customer service and stuff? Did you feel confident like being able to hand that off right away, that the customers would be dealt with the way that you would want to deal with them?
Customer service we hold a really high standard in customer service.
Yeah.
Like everything has to be responded to as soon as possible. Like we don't want, lingering problems or customers hanging out there. Like attend to everything as soon as possible, and, we're really picky in how you talk to people too, which can be difficult because everybody talks differently, right? Like how emails are typed and how they're spoken to on the phone, and like every single customer is different. So like I like to craft, the responses around how their language is reaching out to you, you know what I mean? So that they can, 1, better understand it, and 2, be able to connect with you right away, instead of being too technical or too salesy or, too whatever, or even too dumb, not too dumb, but like.
Yeah, just who don't understand some of those other aspects.
Right. Right.
Some of the technical stuff.
So like, honestly, I think the biggest problem that we ran into with hiring people is letting people know our expectations. Like that was probably the biggest hurdle that we had to overcome, is be like, because there's been numerous times where, Dave and I would get together and be like, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. And then, we get upset and like, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? It's like, well, because we have to do a better job at explaining it fucking clearly to them. And
It took a while for us to learn that.
I think we're still learning it.
We are.
Like,
Because those
have to-
conversations
Something I'm
are
learning a lot.
Those
Yeah.
conversations are hard to have of, hey, I'm expecting you to do this. And because it's having those hard conversations that I think we avoided in the beginning because we never did it.
Definitely avoided hard conversations in the beginning, because
Which
like
bit us in the ass.
And then what would end up doing is we would end up just doing it ourselves. So we're paying this person to not do it,
Right.
what we're expecting, and then we end up fucking doing it. And then in the back of our heads, we're pissed that they're not doing it, but like, why aren't they doing it? Because we didn't tell them to do it. So it's like
We didn't tell them how we wanted it done.
We're
Right.
to blame because we can't just fucking expect them to do it.
Or even train them, There's some hires where we brought in. It depends, though. So, like, we didn't really have to train because I don't know camera. And we hired you because you knew camera.
Yeah. Inside
so
and
it
out,
depends.
yeah.
It depends what positions it is.
I think it's called photog, right? Is that the technical term?
I mean, I think it's creative director now, but yeah.
Creative guru.
But,
right.
Yeah, we at that stage, and especially in the beginning of 2022, we're in such growth mode where we would just hire and hope that they would know what to do. And that's where we made a massive mistake of, 1, not holding expectations, and 2, not training them on how to do it the way we wanted them to do it, which took a long time to learn and has definitely bit us in the ass. And we're still learning today of how to do that the best of our ability. Because it takes time to do that.
I agree. But I think it works with some people, and other people it just doesn't. Like somebody, might want a position that they're like underqualified for, right? And in that case, you're going to have to get them up to speed. And hopefully they're a fast learner and they can catch on. Or they've done their research and they can hop in and know exactly what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I think that especially when, everyone is always looking for a better position. Everyone, I would hope, is always trying to better themselves, right? So aiming for something higher isn't something to, look down on. But when it comes to especially a young business, I think it's really important to hire somebody who is well qualified.
Absolutely. Well, that was one thing too. We're hiring to fill the spot.
Yeah.
And
which is not a good practice.
No, not at all.
You end up spending a lot more time and money and resources trying to make that person into something either they're not or don't want to be or can't be turned into.
Yeah.
So you have to do your due diligence and make sure you're hiring the correct people for those positions. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're doing a disservice to the entire team. You know what I mean?
Well,
everybody else is going to work harder if that person's not pulling their weight or you made a mistake and hired the wrong person.
And
then that's going to weigh on other people.
Yeah, then you have to have a super hard fucking conversation and you have to let them go.
Yeah, which is not fun.
Fucking sucks too.
Equally as hard as looking, maybe even harder than looking for the right person to fill the position.
That's a good way to look at it. Is that conversation of having to let somebody go is, I would say, as painful, if not more painful, than waiting out another 2-3 weeks to a month to find the right person. Because rush hiring is, do not do it. Meaning, if you don't have an accountant and you're growing and you're still doing all the busy work and you're just over your head in work and you have somebody come along like, hey, I know how to do accounting, and you just hire them just because they know how to do accounting, that's the biggest mistake ever, is taking the first candidate that comes. Bring in as much as you possibly can, because you mentioned Alex Hermanzi on the last podcast. He talks a lot about this also of hiring, is whoever you hire should be better than you at doing whatever they're doing. And that's for every single position. If somebody can't do it better than you can do it, don't hire them. Because you can always train somebody, but you need to look for people that can come in and bring their own ideas of, hey, I know how to do this, and I'm going to continue to grow past that level, not to that level.
Is there a way to spot, what would you call it? Potential, trainable potential? Because that exists, but I don't think it's an appropriate way to hire based off of,
What do you mean?
Like somebody who is ambitious in the essence of maybe they don't have the full skill set, but is there a way to determine trainability or?
I mean,
a lot of it you can look at their resume too. What's their job history like? Have they had a bunch of different jobs that they have excelled in and learned new skills and have not all the same thing on their resume, you know what I mean? Because then maybe that shows that they don't want to learn or they're not interested in
That's a fair way to look at it.
Yeah, so we like hiring well-rounded people, you know what I mean? That can kind of do a little bit of, not everything, but can do a little bit more than what you're just hiring them for.
Yeah.
Right? They just have a little more experience in other fields, or not even fields, but I don't know how I want to word this.
No, I know what you mean, because I actually came from a shipping position in my previous job as well.
Exactly.
And if I, I'd go out there and pack boxes if need be.
Well, see, that was it. So one thing to answer your question is, a lot of it comes down to gut feeling too. And we've been wrong with gut in the past, but go with your gut. If right away you came in and I think it was either that day or the next day, we're like, hey, can you come in after you're done working and come shoot for 2 hours to show us what you can do? And you're like, yeah, no problem. So right there, it's like, okay, you just passed that test of your willingness to go above and beyond and to prove it that you want this position. Second of all is, I don't think I ever told you this, but I went deep into your Instagram profile and I saw your work from when you just started to where you continue to advance, and you can see the progression, and it's night and day. So it's really, one, gut feeling, two, set them up for a test. So let's say it's accounting. Ask them really difficult accounting questions that only somebody that is willing to grow would know, or give them some sort of test or survey or something to do that proves their worth. We just started asking this question in interviews of, hey, you have it's 4:59. You have something come up that's going to take 45 minutes. Are you willing to go above and beyond and stay that 45 minutes to get what you need to get done? And if they say yes, you ask them, okay, is that going to create any problems if it happens 5 days in a row? Because last thing you want to do is put people in here that aren't willing to go above and beyond while everybody else on the team is. And that's not to say some people come in at 8 and go till 4:30, but they're hustling during that time.
Yeah.
You know, that's different.
And they're getting all their
And they're
work
getting
done.
their shit done.
Yeah.
And that's different. I have no problem with that because you're killing it, you know, and everybody has their family after work. But, you know, getting those people that want to go above and beyond no matter what it takes. Like you, I could call you on Saturday and be like, hey, man, I need you to shoot. Be like, cool, where?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of people that we're looking for to go to continue to build this brand, because it wouldn't be fair to you to bring somebody in that's not willing to do that.
Yeah.
Because then it's going to create a lot of more training and management and teaching for you, which then is going to prevent you from doing what we hired you to do, is create awesome content. So it's a massive circle, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff there, but
That was well said.
thanks, man. But
It was.
we
Tim's
hired,
a well-spoken guy.
Basically, fucking killers. That's what you want to hire.
yeah, but how many times did we hire? It took us a while to learn that though. So
It
I don't
did.
want to make this seem like it was one wrong hire and we learned it. It was probably
Probably 5 or 6.
5 or 6 wrong hires, and a lot of those hires we paid
A lot of money for.
we paid a firm to find us these hires.
Talented people,
So
yeah.
not only did we make the wrong hire, but we also paid up the ass to get them here. Which
That's
is
one of those tuition payments that I spoke about
Yeah.
earlier. Is like
The School of Hard Knocks.
this. Yeah, like, oh yeah, it sounds great. This company's gonna help us, you know, recruit for us and find these people, and then none of them worked out.
so that's a great point too. Is if you're
Fucking do it yourself. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Nobody likes it, but
Yeah.
you know what you want. You know what you're looking for. You just have to do it. You
With
get
all-
on LinkedIn, you get on Indeed, you get on ZipRecruiter, all these hiring platforms. You fucking poach people. You do whatever you got to do to find the person that you need.
Right.
That's it. Plain and simple.
right, yeah, we learned the hard way of that, but
A couple times.
like even
Not
on the
just one
marketing
time.
side, we needed somebody to do the digital marketing for us, and we had somebody come in and pretty much say everything we needed to say. You know, we didn't question hard enough because he was telling us everything we wanted to hear. We're like, oh yes, dude, this
Yeah.
guy's perfect. And next thing you know is the worst hire we've
Yeah.
had. You know, and sometimes you can't tell, you can't predict it because people will come in and tell you exactly what you want to hear. So that's your responsibility to go deeper into that to like get them
To hear more.
Literally,
not just
well,
the
not
stuff
that,
you
but
want to hear.
not just
but
the baseline stuff. Ask questions that aren't typical interview questions.
Yeah.
You know,
and get references and call
Yes.
the ex-employers and do all your homework, because like this is a huge investment. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you just don't want to off the cuff. All right, you got the job. You know, like you got to do your homework and make sure it's
it'd
just
be
like
nice if it was that easy.
it
Yeah.
would be, right? But it's just like buying a piece of equipment or something. Like you do your homework on it. You make sure you're buying the best one. And you want to make sure it's the most reliable one. You want to
Yeah.
make sure it's going to do exactly what you want it to do. I mean, not that I'm comparing employees to the equipment, but like just the fact of doing your homework and making because you're investing in this person. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like just like you'd be investing in a piece of equipment or something to help grow your business. It's essentially
Yeah.
the same thing.
one thing business owners underestimate also is what work environment are you building?
That's
Are
huge.
you-
That's so huge.
Right. Are
The,
you-
the culture at the workplace
Right.
is like, is it?
Are you building a place that people want to work at?
Right.
And are you a leader that somebody wants to work with?
Right.
You know, that's massive.
Build something that people don't want to leave.
Right. So then as you continue to grow like we are, we can invest in a cooler workplace, which creates a cooler place that people want to work around here. And one thing we learned as we continue to hire more people is we found it easier to hire people that you know,
Yeah.
either through connections that you have at your current employees
Word of mouth, just word of mouth, man.
or just word of mouth, honestly, because say the phrase I always like you say.
Say the phrase always like you say. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
'Cause-
like, if you know somebody and you think that they can do the job, I would take that over hiring somebody that you have no relationship with and hoping.
In a sense, you know what you're getting.
Right.
Compared to hiring somebody off the streets that you have no idea
Yeah.
about. right?
Yeah.
So take operations manager, for example. We brought Josh on. So Josh is my brother-in-law, and that was something very similar that you and I got in the beginning of, are you sure you want to work with your brother? Same thing with this. Are you sure you want to hire a family? This was different because I know Josh and I know that he's going to crush it at whatever he's going to do. But we had that conversation even beforehand of, like, pre it even starting of, hey, you should work here, of if this ever happens, that it's business and family. If things don't work,
we're not going to hold it personally against you.
Draw the land.
Hold us personal against us.
Draw it. There, you say it.
Draw the sand in the line.
Draw the sand in the line. Draw a line in the sand right away.
Oh, shoot.
One of these times we'll get it.
Yeah.
But seriously, you got to set it straight of, hey, man, if you're not performing and we have these conversations back to back to back, that plain and simple, you can't be mad that you get terminated or
Dude,
however
Josh has
it
been
works.
crushing it.
But he's crushing it. And
seriously.
So that's the thing is, I knew
We've never been so prepared.
And that's the thing is, like Dylan was just saying, I would rather take him because I know what he was doing at his previous job, because we spent time together at his house and stuff and talking about what he's working on. So I'm like, I know what he's doing, and he could bring all that talent here. I would rather take that than hiring somebody off the street that might have a ton of knowledge, but I have no relationship with them.
Yeah.
So this person, Josh, I know he will come in on the weekends if I need him to come in, set up an assembly line or whatever, versus somebody else I probably wouldn't trust them to do that.
Yeah, but there's people out there, so I don't want you to I definitely don't want to give off like the wrong vibe or anything. Like, there are people out there that you have to find their diamonds in the fucking rough. Like, you either have to make them into that person, which is really fucking hard to do because they have to want it, or if you can find them, great and good luck, because they are out there, but they're really difficult to find. And you have to have something that's going to draw them to you, or some kind of way to find them. You can't just wait around and hopefully our ops guy will appear one of these days.
Right.
That's
honestly,
not how it's going to work.
A lot of it comes down to just trust too. I feel you can run a better organization when you can trust the people that you hire.
Absolutely.
Undoubtedly. And that's what I was saying with that whole like family thing or hiring who you know. But what, to your point too, is you can hire outside as well. Like, I didn't know you beforehand, but now I trust you with my life. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is, if you have somebody in your family or that could potentially fill that spot, entertain it. It doesn't mean hire them. I'm just saying it could be a good solution to your need.
You made me laugh because I almost thought, like, every time you went over to Josh's house, you're like, all right, Josh, I'll see you later. Thanks for the interview.
Seriously.
Yeah, right.
I would ask. It was like pretty in-depth stuff of what he's doing there and how he would set up processes and systems and hold people accountable. So it was like all those Christmases and Thanksgivings were like vetting him.
It's a whole vetting process.
Josh opens up his gift from Jane. Hey, it's a clipboard with a spreadsheet on it. I love this.
Yeah, right. But no, Josh is great. He's crushing it. And look at how much that has allowed us to grow in different ways also. Is I was doing operations before on top of everything else. So being able to fill that spot with somebody you can trust was the greatest thing, because to be honest, if we would have hired somebody off the street and I didn't have that trust with them yet, that would have been hard to give that over.
I think that is a big problem that a lot of entrepreneurs have, is trusting people.
Yeah.
Like, this is your baby. You spent, blood, sweat, and tears building it up to this point, and now you're trusting a lot with this person. Right. You know what I mean? It's tough to give up. It's fucking hard. Like, you really have to earn it. And I think a lot of people struggle, and I know they do, because we struggled with it. Yeah. Like, just there's always in the back of your head, like, I hope I don't want there to be any doubt that something's getting messed up. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
well, we live with that at trade shows. Remember when we would leave and we didn't have like an operations person in yet, and we had that trust, but it was like, especially the first trade show at SEMA, it was hard to leave because it was just like, this is our baby, and it's like, damn, both of us are gone.
We're not there. We're on the other end of the country. Like,
right.
Yeah. You just we're here all the time, right? So it's like, you just feel like something's going to fucking happen. You know what I mean? And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen when you're gone. Right. But on the flip side, it forces people to fucking figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, you can't you have to allow some kind of freedom and room for people to make mistakes, because that's the best way that they're going to learn.
Yeah.
So like you almost have to let it happen,
Right.
within
That's-
reason, obviously, so that they learn. And when they learn on their own, that's now
See,
it's
right.
not going to happen again.
And I told Dane, so I have a very clear creative vision on how I want stuff done. And now that we have two people who sort of work, under me, alongside me, it can be difficult for me to give up that creative control or how something is done or the process for it. And one of the best things that recently happened was before we went to Ronan, we had a drop that featured his chair, and we needed content film for that chair. And I got sick. We went down to the Whiskey and Oil podcast, and I knew I wasn't feeling good. And so that was a long day, which, by the way, if you guys haven't watched it yet, go check out the Whiskey and Oil. It's such a good podcast. But on the way back, it was Friday the following day, and I just did not feel good. And we were supposed to have a shoot for that chair that day. And I knew what I wanted, and I can still picture it in my head today. But there was no way I was going to be able to attend. I was sick. I had a fever and chills, the whole thing. And so I called and I was like, all right, guys, here's what I want. Go do it. And they crushed it. And they did a fantastic job on that shoot.
And now you trust them even more after they've proven that. So
yeah, big time. I know I can hand stuff off to either of those two guys now.
Exactly.
And know that it'll get done to the standard that I want it done at.
Right.
And there's still room to grow, but I know they'll get it done, and they'll get it done really well.
Right. So from a manager standpoint, you could be almost preventing the growth of those that you're managing by not giving them more responsibilities.
Agreed.
Yeah,
because
that's opportunity to grow.
Right. And they want that too, because they see it of, oh damn, Sam's trusted me to do this. I'm gonna crush it for him. Hell yeah, I'm gonna crush it for him, and this is gonna be great because this is gonna lead into more shoots like this. And then they went to the farmers market with Viper Energy and made a great video. So
and crushed it too.
It's that trust now they built with you because you allowed them to do it.
Yeah, actually, when that whole we ended up having to split directions that day as well. I went and did the dirt bike video, and they went and did some Viper Energy testing.
Yep.
And as soon as that popped up in my head, I was like you guys are gonna crush it.
Hell yeah.
You already know what the vision is. You know how to get it done. We have the whole thing set up. Go have fun, go crush it, and I'm gonna go do this.
Exactly.
And we ended up coming up with two great batches of videos.
Yeah, you can't be at two places at once.
No.
As long as those expectations are clear of, hey, this is what I expect out of you. Go have fun.
100%
and make it happen.
crushed it.
I
would hand off pretty
thing.
much anything to him now.
Right.
So.
But yeah, it's hard to do, and especially as a
really
business
hard.
owner, it's hard to give that up, like you were saying, especially when it's your baby.
But it does get a little easier.
It does.
It definitely does. Especially once people earn your trust, and then you start to feel a little more free, right? Because they're taking a lot of weight off your shoulders, and now you can focus on growth and expanding the business, and have that peace of mind that the stuff's getting done correctly, and they're fucking killing it.
Yeah.
That's all ties into hiring the right people, right? And how all it takes is one bad hire to really throw the whole wheel out of whack, out of balance.
Yeah. One thing that we didn't even touch point on that I want to real quick, because I listen to it on other people's podcasts that they don't really talk about, is you always say hire the best talent, right?
You got a fuzzy here that's driving me fucking insane.
Well, how long's it been there?
For the last couple shows.
But a lot of podcasts don't talk about it. They always say hire the best talent. Sometimes in the beginning you can't, because you can't afford it. The best talent comes at a cost.
It does.
And so sometimes in the beginning you just have to have those conversations with people like we did with Alex. Hey man, we can't really pay you much, but trust us that we'll get to that point of being able to pay you more. So in the beginning, don't feel like you can't hire the best talent yet, because you probably can't, because the best talent comes at a point, and we're still working up to that too, of hiring the best of the best, getting to the executive level. I want to build almost more internal of building the people here to those executives and hire replacements or fillers for
each
the
of
previous
those positions.
Yeah, right. So it's a fine balance of And it's scary. Like we had that point of like, damn, can we afford these people? It's like, can we afford to not continue to do this ourselves and not focus on growth? You know, so it's a balancing act and it's hard.
It's interesting that you say that too, by the way. Sorry, Dylan, I'll let you go in just a sec. But like, I've always wondered why when somebody like, let's just say Procter & Gamble, why they don't start like a new CEO or an executive up from the bottom so they understand each of those steps. Because in my mind, like, that person should know, like when Josh started, he went out and like he boxed stuff. He went back by the welders and saw their process. Right. Like, you know, like in order to know the smooth operations of a business, you almost need to walk through each step of it. And granted, 100%. You can come in at an overhead like an eagle and oversee it. But if you don't know like why things are going slower on the production line or, you know, why enough rails aren't being made, like if you don't know the actual process that goes behind it, you're never going to, like, you can demand more and more and more.
You won't build the trust.
But you're never going to be able to actually know what they can put out because you don't know how many rails somebody can do in a day.
A lot of big companies do that is they hire ex-CEOs from other big organizations to come in and think that they're going to jive with the culture. But all they're going to do is just stir the pot, you know? And, hey, there's ego there. You know, hey, I'm coming in, I'm making $1 million, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to switch everything up because I'm head honcho, you know, and I've done it in the past. I like the approach of what you're talking about. It's in a book that I read, Good from Great. It pretty much talks about companies, the difference of companies that are just good and those that are in the same demographic that are great. You know, so like Walgreens versus, I think there was like another company before Walgreens, and why Walgreens expanded to where they are today. But they talk about this company that did exactly what you're talking about. Is they had a CEO, got rid of them, and moved up somebody that was just operations manager. Moved them to CEO, and this is like a multi-billion-dollar company, and the dude crushed it.
Yeah, I mean, he knew he knew everything about the business. He knew the ins and outs. He knew the entire process. He knew all the vendors. He knew the customers. He knew everything.
Relationships with employees.
Instead of trying to plug in somebody from the outside and trying to get them caught up to speed.
Yeah,
again, exactly. I think it's the same thing with hiring, right? You might get lucky, and you might find that person who comes in and understands it. You might. Big might. But if you move somebody up in your organization, you know, in the case of CEO, right? Yeah. You like that person knows the business. They 100%. Know the overhead, and now they're just taking on some more responsibilities. Granted, probably quite a bit more in order to, you know, do that position that needs to be filled, right? So, and they know the ins and outs of your business like the back of their hand because they've been doing it. Especially, I'm going to assume if you're hiring a CEO, they've probably been doing it for a while. Right. Ops manager for a while or whatever it is,
Right. So if you're at those beginning stages where you're bringing on your first chunk of talent for like each individual demographic, in the beginning you're going to hire people to do 10 things. That's what you just do. You know, you bring your first employee on, and they don't really have a title because they do. It was again the kind of like
but not everybody's going to like that either. Because we've had people. I mean, we've hired people that this you have to do all this, and they want to do one job, and that's like I said, it's not going to work for everybody.
Right.
You know.
Well, that's how it was. Like I said with Alex, like we brought Alex on. He's like, "What's my title?" It's like I can't really define your title because you do a lot of things.
Right.
You know.
Does he have a title yet?
Yeah, head of partnerships and brand.
Okay.
But like that's his title, but he's doing more than that even. Yeah. You know, so how long can a title be? You know? So in the beginning, you're going to hire people and they're going to do more than what they were hired for. But eventually you're going to get to a point where you can hire good talent for each individual position. And it's fun. And when you start hiring for those positions, make sure you take your time, because if you want to do internal expansion on those people, internal growth, you have to make sure that it's somebody that can grow and wants to grow.
Yeah, big time.
And right now I feel really good with who we have in positions to be able to expand the team internally, you know, versus bringing outside executives that have this, and this. It's like, it's all fine and dandy, but, you know, they're coming from a corporate company, and then are they going to instill that here, think that they have an ego? You know, I want to build it with people that are building it with us right now. That's the most fun, because now you feel like you have a part, like this is part of yours as well, you know, which it is. This is a part of everybody's. You know,
I look back at a year and a half ago already, and I'm like, damn, like that 9 employees was fun. Like I was wearing multiple hats and getting
Right.
so much done in a day, and now it's like I still get a lot done, but
I
it's
was gonna
like
say now I don't get nothing done.
Now I'm just drinking
no,
in
I
my
know,
room.
yeah, it's pretty, yeah. Hide
Now I
that
just shoot
whiskey
people with
bottle,
Nerf
yeah.
guns. But yeah,
you know, but you know what I mean. It's like there's
Yeah.
so much, like I get like obviously still get a lot done, but like at the end of the day, like I have 2 people I can hand off jobs to, and
yeah,
you know I might not get to go help like in the warehouse or
it's a different
know.
kind of work. Before
is.
you probably felt like you were getting a lot done because you were busy.
big
You
time.
know, I got all this stuff to edit, but now this is a different kind of work where you're still busy. You just might not be so much into like the editing as you were before, or the busy work, I guess you could say.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which is great because then you can focus on now building a team under you and
yeah,
then
actually working
delegating
on
tasks.
Bigger projects. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I will say like hiring people still makes me nervous, you know, because like
Yeah.
from the aspect of they're putting trust in you. They're trusting you to provide them with a paycheck to feed their family and to pay their mortgage and to make their car payment and to pay for their kids' schooling and all that shit. Like, I feel that burden. You know what I mean? Not so much. I don't even want to look at it as a burden, but like responsibility. You know, like,
Yeah.
like fuck. Sam just bought a new taco. You know, like, fuck. He's relying on all of us now to push
Those listening, Tacoma.
Tacoma.
That was the previous podcast.
Cream cheese.
Cream cheese taco.
cream cheese
You gotta
Tacoma.
listen to the previous podcast.
Sour cream.
But like now we have no choice but to continue growing this. Sam's got a car payment to
And
make.
that's motivating.
You know,
I love it.
Motivating as fuck.
I love
You know
it,
what
'cause
I mean?
then-
Like I love it when
Does that mean I can walk around the warehouse and tell people to work harder so I can pay for my car?
no, it definitely doesn't.
Okay.
But like, now I totally lost my train of thought. Is like a roadblock.
No, I know.
Your thought of
You
trade?
have those.
My thought of trade.
Yeah,
It's just
you have those.
derailed.
You have responsibilities to people to continue to grow the business so that they can continue to afford or
Yeah, that's what I was going.
participate in their life as they know it.
I love it when people go out and buy shit. You know
Hell
what
yeah,
I mean?
dude.
Because like that's the biggest
I love it.
motivator to me is like, fuck yeah, like good. Go out and get that new vehicle or your
New
your
apartment.
house
Yeah.
shopping or new apartment or whatever. Because like that makes me fucking feel good because that they're trusting us, that they're feeling comfortable with their job, and now
Yeah.
our job that we have to do is to grow this thing and to keep it fucking going.
Yeah.
I always say
Right.
I want it to look like a car show out there
Fuck yeah.
every morning. Dude, that'd be sick.
yeah.
But that right there is super motivating, and that's something that you keep instilled in your head. So whenever maybe it's a Saturday night and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna relax. It's like, hell no, dude. Everybody's got all these payments and responsibilities to pay for,
And they're
You
relying
don't-
on you.
and they're relying on you. So if you don't do this, like you're only doing a disservice to everybody else. And that,
Yeah, big
dude, that
time.
motivates me every single day. That pushes me to go to the next level because
Yeah.
I want to blow this thing up just as much as everybody else does. You know. So.
But
But yeah, honestly, to kind of bring it all together, few main points here. One would be don't rush hire. Take your time to vet as many people as you can. And if you can't find somebody,
Don't rush into a hire.
do not rush into it. Use the resources like you were talking of LinkedIn, Indeed, Facebook, Instagram.
Word of mouth, networking, like that's how, like you said, that's how we found most of our people is
Yeah.
just word of mouth, networking. I remember there was a time where I was literally everybody I had met or talked to in a day, I told them that we were hiring, and if they know anybody to let us know.
Yeah.
Just to spread the word.
Well,
you know?
take our dad, for example. I'm not saying this is what you do, but he said most of his hires were from a bar.
Yeah, talking to
He,
people.
he just talked to people when he was out at the bar, and they're like, hey, I'm actually looking for a job. He's like, cool, you look cool, I'll hire you. You
Yeah.
know? But
So he didn't do his homework, is what you're saying.
what's that? yeah, right. But
if you can drink a full night with a guy, he's probably trustworthy, right? If he doesn't
If you
like
could see
slime
how they're
out or
acting
something.
when they're drinking, then
Yeah.
gives you a pretty good determination of their
So-
personality.
well,
A good hiring test is to get them sloppy drunk.
Yeah, and see how they hold themselves.
well, what we just did, we just hired our insurance agent. You know, we knew that he was a killer, and we knew that because we saw him at every single event.
Yeah.
Every event he was there. He was at more
Yeah.
events than we went to, and we don't really go to a ton, but he's constantly following up at 9 p.m. on Saturdays, emailing us constantly if we don't reply. Hey, I need this. Hey, I need this. Hey, I need this. That's somebody I want at this organization doing that for
Hell
our
yeah.
customers. I
Yep.
want him to service our customers the way he serviced us because he crushed it. You know. So that's just an example of you might be having, there might be people in your current life that might be a great fit for your organization. It's worth the conversation. Sometimes they just fall into your lap and you can't force it. But yeah, one, don't rush hire. Do your research. If you need to go on LinkedIn, you can type in what job you're looking for and it just dumps out everybody that has that in their title.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of your recruiting right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For if you have a warehouse or something that doesn't really require an education of like a degree or something. And a lot of that's just word of mouth. Find people
Who you can trust.
High school kids are always looking for summer jobs, Find that talent. High school kids are killers, dude. Those guys will, we have Kane. Kane's a beast. He doesn't want to talk. He just wants to work.
Hurricane.
Dude,
I love that.
So
Who walks in and just hands out a little slip hey, I'm looking to work.
He walked in here.
I know. I remember.
You remember that? He's like, hey, I love what you guys are doing, and I want to work for you. We're like, okay, can you start tomorrow?
Perfect.
You just, that was the interview.
Well, fuck yeah. A 14-year-old kid comes in, says he wants to work. Dude, that just shows his personality right there. You know what I mean?
His parents found out how and how long and all that stuff. And yeah.
Exactly. And he's crushing it.
Big time, yeah.
But vet them out. Make sure that you do your due diligence. You ask the right questions during the interview. You be honest of expectations during the interview.
That's probably the biggest thing I would
what you're
say
looking
that
for.
you can take away from this episode is just make your expectations clear.
Right away.
Right away.
Even at the
what
interview.
you're looking for, what you want them to do, and what's expected of them.
Yeah.
That way there's no
questions.
No questions, no ill feelings, no nothing. That's what
right.
They know exactly what they're getting into.
Yeah. So if you're expecting them to work after hours, say that. Hey, there might be days this week or in weeks where you have to work late nights or even on the weekends. I just want to make that clear. Because if you don't and then you expect it when they're there, it's kind of disservice to them too, because they're like, well, you never said that. I never knew that that's what you were expecting of me. Be brutally honest. You might not be able to afford the best talent in the beginning, and if you can't, but you have somebody that's asking more, talk with them. Let them know where you're at. Hey, I really want you. How can we work this out? Maybe it's not a right fit at that point, and you hire them in the future.
That's definitely something we've learned through the hiring process too. Is everybody swings for the fences?
Oh yeah, dude.
When it comes to this wage and everything, what are you looking to make? Huge fucking number. Okay, well we know.
Let's tame that down a little bit because I know that's not what you're making.
Well, nice try. We know you're swinging for the fences here, so let's negotiate a little bit. And there's always
once you prove yourself.
For sure.
Of course.
That's the main thing too. Is
dude, we got no fucking problem paying people that are gonna fucking kill it.
Absolutely.
If you're gonna come in here, you're gonna kill it every single day. Absolutely, we're gonna pay you for it. And pay you well for it. But if you're gonna come in, you're just gonna kind of skate by and do
what you're supposed to do. Just
basically what you're supposed to do, and not gonna push any further. Well, then you're just gonna get paid what you're supposed to get paid to do that.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of our mentality in that aspect, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's hard in the beginning hiring the right people and the whole hiring process. It's sleepless nights of, did I make the right choice? Am I at the point to hire? I get it. We've been there. Just go with your gut. Honestly, a lot of the times, what does your gut feel when you're in that interview? If it feels like the right person, sometimes your gut says yes, you hire them and they're not the right person. Or they lied or they gave you exactly what you wanted. There you go. Now you're going to learn how to fire somebody. It's what you have to learn, and it's the things that nobody wants to do. So then that's another point real quick is if you have to fire somebody and have that conversation, don't withhold it just because you don't want to have the conversation. You're just wasting money.
Yeah.
And
you're hurting your business. You're hurting your business. Slowing yourself down long term.
Exactly.
All the above.
I think it's a super valuable episode. Listen to it as many times as you can, especially if you're in the hiring phase, because there's some valuable stuff here.
And don't work your employees like Egyptian slaves trying to make a pyramid.
No. I forgot that this was up.
That was like the first 20 minutes, dude.
I want Dylan to give the Viper ending.
Okay. Here's a can.
What do I do?
Talk about Viper Energy.
I'll point this at you real quick.
This ad's brought to you by Viper Energy. This episode's brought to you by Viper Energy.
Every episode's brought to you by Viper Energy.
Exactly. Okay, go ahead.
So, guys, we just released Viper Energy last week. You're going to want to try this out. We spent, 2 years formulating the ingredients for this. It's all natural. It is great for you. It's not like all the other energy drinks out there. It doesn't have any artificial sweeteners, no artificial preservatives. Everything in here is all natural. It is good for you. It tastes fucking great. And we just launched it last week. It's on our website, www.viperenergy.com, VYPER energy.com. You guys will not regret it. I am addicted to these things. I seriously can't stop drinking them, and they give me unbelievable energy. Like, seriously, I told you guys I wanted to go running before. I still want to go running.
And if you hear Dylan wants to say he wants to go running,
yeah, that's
when you
fucking
know
rare. So that means you know you know that it's really good.
shit right
if I have
there.
the energy to go run, you know it works. So give it a shot, guys. Let us know what you think. Peace
Thanks for
out.
listening.
Share the
Bye.
show.
Damn, that was good.